You're listening to Brave Girls with Tracy M., where we choose to empower you to be a better leader, mentor, and coach in the world. We'll share stories of people who have achieved great heights by overcoming adversity and rising to the challenge, all while pursuing their passions. These courageous people will inspire you to have faith in yourself and take bold action. Right here with the host of Brave Girls, Tracy M.
Episode 39, Stormy Weather Comes, with Melissa Wells. Meet Melissa Wells, the author of the book, The 30-Day Prayer Journaling, Building Your Prayer Life and Discovering Your True Identity. We met at the Baltimore Book Festival this past year, and I knew she had to be on the show. A true brave girl leader, Melissa turned her pain into good by teaching what she learned during her divorce and bringing this amazing book out into the world. She shares how her relationship with God and prayer got her through stormy weather when she didn't know where to turn. She shares how therapeutic writing and prayer can be for our souls, and how her book guides the reader to come back to who they've always been. Far too often, we lose our identity and allow unfinished dreams, visions, and plans to slip away from us. Melissa learned to trust God during her difficult times, even though she wasn't clear on her next steps. We talk about knowing that stormy weather will always come and test your faith, so you need to be prepared. We talk about the importance of faith in your daily life and how you can come out of difficult situations. Melissa advocates for creating a prayer practice in your life to anchor your soul. We talk about her dreams for her nonprofit, Second Chance Outreach Ministry, and how she helps people who've hit rock bottom by showing compassion and then teaching them the power of prayer. I'm so grateful for Melissa sharing her story and wisdom on the show today. I invite you to listen in on our conversation, and I encourage you to go grab yourself a copy of Melissa's book, The 30-Day Prayer Journaling, Building Your Prayer Life and Discovering Your True Identity. So let's go.
So welcome to Brave Girls with Tracy M. Tonight, I have Melissa Wells, who is the author of the 30-Day Prayer Journaling book. I met Melissa at the Baltimore Book Festival, where she had a booth just like I did, trying to get people to know about her book. And so welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you, Tracy, for having me.
Yeah. So when I met you, I just instantly connected to you and to your book. And so I know that a little bit of your backstory is that you have your bachelor's in business administration from Morris College.
Yes.
You went and got your master's degree in health services administration from Strayer University. But what you're really, really passionate about is helping others and spreading the word about the power of prayer. So tell us a little bit about your book and what really inspired you to write your book. And I know you also have a Second Chance Outreach Ministry, which is a nonprofit. So tell us a little bit about your book, a little bit about your backstory, and kind of fast forward to when I met you at the book festival.
Yeah, so again, the book, like you said, entitled 30-Day Prayer Journaling, Building Your Prayer Life and Discovering Your True Identity. This book was actually birthed out of pain. About 5 years ago, I was going through a divorce of 16 years of marriage. And having your life all planned out, knowing what to do, knowing your day-to-day routines, it was very hard for me when it happened. It was like a bombshell. And I didn't have anything planned, didn't know what would be my next step. But I always had a close relationship with God. And with me just seeking out more and just praying more and more and more, this what led me into the book Prayer Journaling, because during that course of time, I was journaling to God, my feelings, my thoughts, just pouring out my all in all, why I was so upset, I was angry, and how just not knowing where to go. It's like I lost my identity. But with this book, God was showing me the whole entire time that I have you, and just every chapter in this book was experience on my life story. It's pretty much my life story during that period of time that I went through this divorce. And that's how this book became about, because God wanted me to share to everybody. We all need prayer. A lot of us lose hope and lose identity when we get to a place where we don't know where else to go. We get to a down place in our lives. We don't know where else to go. So a lot of people don't turn to prayer because a lot of people don't know how to pray. So this book, this journal, is also a workbook because it gives you an opportunity to write down your thoughts, how you're feeling, just day-to-day life. And God wanted me to share this with so many people out there who need prayer and to discover their true identity. And just, knowing that you are more than just your problems or your circumstances. Like, you're bigger than that. But a lot of us don't know that because we tend to focus on the world and not focus on, who we are as children of God. Some don't even know that, but God wanted me to share that. So that's how this book became about. And that's how I got to meet Tracy because I published the book. The book got published in 2017. And I wanted to go out and to promote a book. Didn't know anything about writing, anything, but God just led me, and he led people in my life. And especially, you, Tracy, how we became to meet one another just through networking. And that's how I was at the book festival, how I met you, and the rest is pretty much history right now.
So I love that. I love that you are so honest about the fact that you birthed this out of pain, and that you use that to help heal yourself, and Absolutely. And I love the way that you have the journal set up, with sort of a few pages of just, day by day, giving advice on prayer. Because some people may feel like there's a right way, there's a wrong way, I have to do it a certain way.
Yes.
And that's not true at all. And in your book, I think that you really it's very inspiring to see that somebody else, you're leading, you're like the leader, helping people through this journey, because you're now on the other side.
Right.
And so now you've become the teacher. And so your mess has now become your message. And
yes.
I love that by breaking it down into a 30-day, basically you have to form that habit. And so you're helping the person form the habit. You're not overwhelmed by what sort of your homework is. And then it's really taking that pen to paper and doing that journal and doing that prayer. And so you've got it set up so that the person who has this, it's all right here. And they can just turn to that day, whether it's in the morning or whether it's at night, whatever time they set aside. But it's not so intimidating to the person.
Absolutely. And a lot of us don't know, a lot of us don't know where to start, what to say, how to pray, and just my subheading and just my thought for the day, or what I've been going through during this whole ordeal. It kind of sparks people to oh, I'm going through the same thing, or I had similar situations, and then they begin to write. So it kind of gives them that ammunition to pull out more, talk to God like you're talking to your girlfriend or your parents. Have an intimate relationship, because pretty much that's what he wants from all of us.
Right.
Just to communicate and to have an intimate relationship with him.
Now, have you found through this, and you've gone out into the community through your nonprofit, have you seen the transformation in people? Because that's got to be really gratifying for you, is to see them when they have their ahas.
Yes. In my first venture out, when I started the ministry, I was talking to some homeless individuals, and this one particular lady just stood out, and I started speaking with her, and she was actually at a point where she was upset with God. It's why would he allow this to happen to me? So it gave me an opportunity to witness to her and to also share, God gives all of us an opportunity because he gives us free will. It is a choice that we choose whether we do good or evil. And whatever choice you make, there's always repercussion, and you have to deal with it, whether it's good or bad. But the choice you make, that's the consequences that you have to deal with. So just to put it all in perspective, she was like, I said, but he cares because I'm here today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, so he does hear your prayers. So it was just an aha for her. And it was beautiful because we actually had a connection. And, I told her that I want to help you. I feel like I'm led to help you and try to get you off the streets. I mean, she just poured out her heart and everything to me. It's just like, that was really my real first episode of really being that close and connecting to someone who has hit rock bottom.
Right.
Because I am from South Carolina originally, from a rural farm. So all of this was new to me. Just to see the Big Apple, the city like, people who are really addicted to drugs and what it can do for you. This was all new for me. So to actually see the ministry and what the vision that God has allowed me, what he's shown me, to actually see that in fruition when I was out doing the outreach, it was an awesome, awesome feeling.
Right.
Really
Right.
awesome.
Right. Yeah. And I think depending on your background, like you said, you always kind of knew, but, it's like when you have that moment where you really truly have to surrender and, really find yourself and, kind of find your way out through prayer. And it seems like in reading your book or your workbook that was very much your journey.
Yes, it was my journey in how I sustained myself and, actually at a low point, but know how to rise above that. And it pretty much gave me who my identity was, because I met my husband, my ex-husband now, in college. We date all through college. We got married. So it was just like, I was married for 16 years, but 20 years, half of my life was spent with him. So it's like, I didn't know anything else. That was my routine. That was my life. That was everything. So to have that all crumble and you don't have not the next step, a plan B, it was really in a low place for me, but I had to rise above that because I knew I had a foundation in God, and I knew that when man or anything fail you, God will never fail you. So it was those scriptures that I knew growing up in the church with my, going with my parents. And all of that came back to me, and I just started, I have to trust God, and I have to believe that I'm going to rise above this. And journaling every day was what I was doing, and that just it just opened up to being a book. And I had no idea at the time that this was going to be leading to the 30-day prayer journal that you and I are talking about today.
Yeah, but what a blessing in disguise, right?
Yes.
And so, when we have things that happen to us that we don't anticipate and we're kind of thrown off a little bit, to know that we do have that foundation. And I think sometimes people have to know they have to have faith over fear, and they have to really dig deep and know and trust, like you said, and just trust and go back to that. And then you rise out of the ashes, and you rise above that. And there are so many supporting, scriptures. And, I think there's 7 or 8 main religions, and all of them tell the same stories.
Yes.
And all of them have sacred texts that we go back to. It just, whether it's Judaism or Christianity or, Hinduism or whatever your religion is. And so it's just, I think foundational to understand that and to bring yourself back to that. So one of the chapters that you talk about is stormy weather.
Yes.
And so talk about that, and talk about, that's day 11 in your workbook. It says the storm is only beginning. Level 2 is the test of your faith. How strong is your foundation? Are you capable of standing on the word of God? Will you fall to Satan's lies? You say, I've been there so many times, and I must tell you that you might fall back, but that's okay. The key to falling is not to stay down, but instead to get back up. Remember the word grow. In order to grow, you must learn from your mistakes. Even though you know someone with the answers, God, your faith will still be tested. I thought that was beautiful.
Yes. So that's pretty much letting them know that we always going to have stormy weather. We always going to have stormy weather. A lot of it is going to be unexpected. because if we was to plan out our day, we would never, plan
Right.
anything horrific or anything happening to us. We just being transparent. But stormy weathers are always going to come. And that's when you have to, those are the times that your faith will be tested during the stormy weather. Because if everything's perfect, do we really take the time like we should to thank God, or, we always make it about ourselves. And sometimes the stormy weather comes when God is giving us a test. It's not always the enemy. It's not always, want to blame Satan on everything. Sometimes it's just God showing us, as, the example with Job. Job was he was his son, and he was righteous in all ways, but he had a test. He had stormy weathers. So sometimes God does that. But the stormy weather I was talking about, just, bringing it was pretty much my divorce I was talking about, but also just things that people can relate to. It could be, your health, or losing a job and not getting the information, not getting the job that you want. Any type of situation that you're dealing with that brings storm into your life. How are you going to deal with it? How are you going to cope? So that was just to give them a nugget of how to deal with it, that you have to have faith to overcome anything, because without faith, it's impossible to please God. So again, a lot of these contents in the book was just, to make individuals who are reading it relate to life. Pretty much, you're not the only one going through a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's probably worse off than you, but how do you deal with the situation? How do you come out of it? So it was just to let them know, like, hey, you know what? I'm facing the same problem, or I faced it years ago. And, it's like an aha moment for them. Like, wow, I didn't know someone else was going through that.
Right.
So, being transparent and, knowing that your situation is not the end all to be all. There's someone is always doing worse off than you are. But it's how you deal with it, how you overcome, that really is going to last.
Right. Right. I love all the different, it's almost like you have themes for each
Yes.
day.
Mm-hmm.
So was there like any method to your madness, or you just, as things came to you and came through you?
Yeah, it was pretty much when things came to me, where I was at, and just how I was just writing it all out. And it's like, I wrote everything out first, manually, just writing in my journal, and then went back looking and reading over it. That's how I developed my themes to it.
They're beautiful. I mean, they really are. And they, I just think that, I mean, your book jumped out at me at the book festival. I was like, oh yes, I got to get this. Like, this is, I love this kind of stuff. And
Awesome.
I think that I do. And I think a lot of women need to know more about it. As we become sort of leaders in the world,
Yes.
and, the patriarchy is kind of starting to fall, and our voices are, where maybe in the past we've been suppressed, or it's been more of a male-dominated type of world that we live in. The world needs our feminine energy and
Yes.
our feminine beliefs, and our, so many of us are the ones that really hold the glue of the family together, and and that are out in the community, and we can really enrich the business world to make it much more inclusive. And so, I think prayer is important in terms of, having that gratitude in the morning, and just pausing and thanking God for everything that you've been given. So more abundance can be shown to you. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So do you have like a favorite chapter or day?
I
Do you?
I
Okay.
actually do. I have day 8 stages. That was like one of my favorite, because doing my writing, that was an aha moment for me. And everything, the Holy Ghost led me into writing everything that, the readers read in this book. But stages stood out to me because it broke down the level of stages from our beginning to the time we, take our last breath to be with God. So he was, conveying to me the stages of, just like we have stages of life from birth unto death, there's also stages in our spiritual life and how we need to grow. And the first level of our spiritual growth was just building that foundation, just having that foundation, a solid and firm foundation. And that the second level was when our faith level was being tested, that we're going to go through trials and tribulations. This is testing our faith. That's the second level. But the third level of our spiritual growth would be the level of all levels. When you die, do you know that you're going to hell or heaven? Do you know that you're going to be with the everlasting Father? Even that, and people don't like to talk about death because they really don't. Some of it is like a scary topic for them to speak on, but I was one of those persons until I started, everything that had transpired. It's like, well, you live, you die. Do I really, believe in God? And when I do take my last breath, why should death be scary? When you know you're going to be with your maker, when you truly have that firm belief and faith that you're going to be with God, why should death be a scary experience? So that was my favorite part of writing this book, because it showed me that I have to put my trust in God, even in all the levels, even when, when he calls me home. It shouldn't be a scary experience for me. Or seeing your loved one passed on. It's sad, but if you know that they have the faith and you've seen it throughout their life, you know they're going to a better place. So why should we get into that depressed state or, weeping and so forth? And all of that just taught me so much. And the stages, it said grow. And so he used that acronym, grow. I use the acronym as God righteousness is greater than our weaknesses. God righteousness is greater than our weaknesses. When God revealed that to me, it opened up my spiritual vision into a bigger perspective, because what he was saying to me is that my righteousness is always going to be greater than your weaknesses. So you have to trust me. And when you do that, you're entering into growth. You're entering into my righteousness over your weaknesses. You have to just let that go. Give it to me, because I'm the one that's going to show you, and you're going to grow in different spiritual levels as as you deal. It's just like as you birth, from your first, from incubation period all the way to the time you take your first step, you're growing each and every single day. And right. God wants us to do that in our spiritual growth. We start off as babes, and then, you grow every step. So that was just an eye-opener for me. And it's just like, wow, like, oh my goodness. Like, it just put so much in perspective, and my spiritual levels just went to the roof, because I've grown so much since I wrote this book. It's just phenomenal. It's how things just come to you, and how you hear his voice. And it's just, wow, even the decisions that you're making, sometimes I have to really stop and think now, like, okay, what would Jesus do in this situation? Versus me just jumping off. Like I normally done. So even all that changed full circle for me in how I see things now.
Well, and I think that for the people that read this book, who maybe aren't spiritually aware or conscious at all, just to even get to the foundation. Maybe, like the homeless woman that you were talking about, or, maybe she had a foundation, but it was when she hit that second level of going through her trials and tests. And some people stay in that level. They never get to
for a long period of time. If they never go out. Exactly. But this is to just give them an eye opener and be like, you know what? I'm here. Okay, there is another level. There is God. God hears me. Like, all I got to do is just go to him. It's really, forcing them to build a solid foundation and have a prayer life.
And that practice. God. Yes, that practice.
Yes, you have to practice. Just like we're communicating. God wants everyone to communicate. And a lot of people don't know what to say. It's like, well, talk to him like you're talking to your best friend, because he wants to hear it from you. And that's how I just tell everyone my relationship with God. And I just convey the message to him as I'm talking to my girlfriend or my parents or whomever, because he knows all. So we need to be transparent even when we're going to him. And a lot of people really feel unease. Those readers who did purchase my book, and the comments that I received from them, it's like, wow, a lot of stuff has been lifted off of me because, I was afraid to go to God because I've done so much bad things, but God loves you still.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
it helped them to really build their prayer life and to, get a foundation where they can, be settled and not going back and forth and just like, I don't know, I did something bad. I shouldn't even pray. I feel really bad about it. And, it's like he knows we make mistakes. He
Mm-hmm.
wants us to forgive, come to him and confess our sins, and he's faithful and just to forgive us. So it's just letting them know that God is a forgiving God. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it kind of like really took the pressure off a lot of the feedback that I had been getting, that this book was really an eye opener, and I brought them closer to God and just knowing who they are and how should they, speak and relate to him
Right.
on that, on any topic of discussion that they want to have.
Right. Now, have you thought about, or maybe you've already done this, led workshops or prayer groups that follow the book, almost like a book club?
Yes, we have one in the making as of next year. I'm actually going to start it off. It's a few women that and men who have read the book, and I just wanted to want them to share their insights and how their life has changed, and tell us share their testimonies and so forth. So
Yes.
I'm going to be studying the book again with these men and women who have already took the challenge and wrote, just
Mm-hmm.
to get feedback and to just be an encouraging for those who still not there yet but want to get closer. It's a lot of lost souls that are out there who just don't know where to go.
Yeah, well, and I think there are, and I think the thing that's nice about this is your book is affordable and can really be that sort of gateway or portal or first step for
Yeah.
them to not feel ashamed that they don't know how to pray or they don't have that firm foundation. And so it's not it's very welcoming and not intimidating for someone to be able
Yes.
to go on this journey in this book, because it is very, it follows a flow. It has themes. It really, I think, guides, you're holding their hand and taking them
Yes.
on this journey in a very kind and gentle way. And so I see people coming together, like you said, in almost like a circle support group type thing, working through and getting feedback and support from the other people as they go through their journey. But I think you've just
Absolutely.
organized it so well
Well, thank
that,
you.
yeah,
It's an easy read because I didn't want to complicate anything, because that's not who we serve. Our God is not complicated. So it was made to be an easy read, and it's like you said, it has themes in it, and it's just guide and instruction on what to do from the day 1 until day 30. Like,
right,
pretty much a guide for you to start building your foundation, because we all have to start somewhere,
right.
and this is the guide for them to do that. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah. So now you got to think about your second book.
Yes.
Like, what's your companion, Like,
Yes, I am. I have some things in work that I'm working on. So, yep, definitely stay tuned for that. You would definitely be hearing more of me talk about that second part.
right,
They
right.
said, well, after 30 days, what do you do after 30 days? Like, we need more. So it's like, you're absolutely right.
It's
So
true.
I am
It's
working on
true.
that.
Well, and as you've grown too, and this got birthed out of your pain,
Yes.
and now you've realized that you're a teacher and that you're a guide and a mentor for others. So you're a little bit farther ahead than they are. And so they're looking to you now as that brave girl leader
Yes.
on their prayer journey and on their faith walk, basically. And so talk a little bit about Second Chance Outreach Ministry and what your vision is for that.
Yes. So my vision for this ministry, again, I found out my calling was it's prayer intercessory, to pray for those who are not able to pray for themselves, and just to be, that one, that advocate to intercede on behalf of them. Second Chance Outreach Ministry. Initially, this ministry was to help those female women. I was targeting women who were divorced. The same thing I was going through. And just to let them know that you have hope. There is a second chance after the divorce, after a bad breakup, or, whatever the situation or circumstances may be, that there is help, there is support, because you always need support when you're going through the pain of a divorce, or, it's very difficult sometimes. And some people don't even, get from that point in their life. They always have resentment and guilt and angry, but we want to break away from all of that, because in order for you to grow, you have to let that die. So that's initially what this ministry was supposed to be about. But as I was going through, and the women that I was targeting and men, they were talking about life itself, like, I lost my job, I lost my home, or, I had a bad breakup, or, so it was like a circle of things, life things that's been happening. So I changed it from Second Chance Ministry to Second Chance Outreach Ministry. And that's what the entity name is now, because it's an outreach that's trying to target everyone who's been down and out or going through and just needs a second chance. And that is going to be a resource and a guide for them, whether it's in education, whether it's in literacy, financial literacy, whether it's in the youth. I'm trying to set up something for our youth, mental illness, which is taking a toll now these days. So it's an outreach for everyone that's, having problems or issues that they deal with from day to day. And we are going to try to provide the resources that would not only take a homeless person, not only provide food and shelter for them, but to take them off the streets. We don't ever want them to return back, because truly God has given you a second chance. But we want to provide the tools and resources on how to get on your feet and stay on your feet, so you won't ever have to face that situation and circumstance again. We want to bury that. And for that, we call it second chance, because God is a God of second chances. So that's how that became about. And that's where I see the bigger vision of where this ministry is going to go.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And I feel like you've been called to do this. I know you're passionate about it.
Yes.
And I know, on the back of your book, it says your central theme in life is that anything is possible with God. And
Yes.
I think that's so brilliant. And then, of course, so we'll put a link on the show notes and the blog post when this comes out, so people can buy your book, learn more about you and your Second Chance Outreach Ministry, and how they can get kind of engaged with you. But so my finale question is always, what's the bravest thing that you've ever done, and how does it inspire you today?
Well, Tracy, I'm going to say the bravest thing I've done is what I've been talking about for the last 30 minutes with you. Writing this book has been the bravest thing I've ever done, because I never really thought that I would be an author. I'll be sharing my story, and just the response, the overwhelming response I have received, and just the testimonies that I've been, receiving from the individuals who have been reading this book has been nothing but phenomenal. And I really thought about this, because I wrote this book maybe a year ago, the manuscript, and I just sat on it. It's like, I don't know, just had doubts. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go forth with it. I'm going to go forth with it, because I really believe in my spirit that I'm doing the right thing. And even if it just touched one or two people's lives, I know I have made a difference. So just taking that brave part, just stepping out on my, what I thought and believed that was right, that I should go ahead and do it, and not just step back like, oh, what if it fails? Or, what if nobody purchased the book? Those thoughts that you get in your head, fear stepping in the way. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to be brave about this. I'm going to go ahead. And the response that I've gotten from people saying this was a life changer for me, that was like, I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I was bold enough and brave enough to do it. because it's overwhelming. It's just so awesome to hear the testimonies from others who've read the book. So that was my bravest part, becoming the author, writing this book, getting it published, and selling it to those who need it.
Yeah, it's out in the world now. I have chills.
Yeah.
Like, it's out in the world. Like, and it was through you overcoming your fear, doubt, and worry.
Yes.
And having faith that even if just one person was helped, and you're just getting started, like, there are going to be so many people that are going to be helped by this. And I'm hoping that, our podcast is global, that people around the world will find this, because it's probably just what they've been looking for.
Yes. Yeah.
And they just, they need to know that you need to build a prayer life and a practice and really find who your true identity is. And, so I just, I congratulate you for having that courage, busting through your fears, allowing yourself to be vulnerable. I'm sure you were like, who am I to be the one to put this out there? But you know what? You are the one that was supposed to put this out into the world, and it's going to change the world. It's going to help the people who don't think they have a second chance when they do.
Yes.
So I just, I will put all this information in the show notes. So what's the best way for people to find you? Is it on Twitter, or what's the best place?
I have a Twitter account that they can follow me on Twitter, and it's at Twitter at 30 Day Prayer. They can definitely contact me there, and I also have a Facebook page that they can contact me on. 30 Day Prayer Journal is the title of the book, 30 Day Prayer Journaling. Building Your Prayer Life and Discovering Your True Identity on Facebook. They can follow me there as well to connect with me.
Okay, great. And we'll put that all in the show notes, so they'll have hyperlinks so they can go over to it right from the show notes. So again, thank you so much, Melissa Wells, for doing the work that you're doing. You're doing amazing things in the world. You're just getting started, girl. I'm telling you, this is huge. This is huge. You're the person that's to bring this into the world. No doubt. No doubt. And so
thank you, Tracy, again. Thank you for your opportunity just to help me promote this book. You just don't have no idea. Like, I just didn't know, like, how am I going to put it out there? And God's just actually connecting me with the right people. So I really want to thank you for the opportunity that you have allowed me to be on your show.
Absolutely. We were meant to meet. We were meant to be at that book festival. We were meant to collaborate, and I'm more than happy to support your vision for Second Chance Outreach Ministry. I believe that it's needed in our world now more than ever. And it's going to be the women that are going to bring this forth. It really is.
Yes, and I wanted to share something real quick. That now I do have a website for Second Chance Outreach Ministry if anyone wants to go there and to, plant a seed for donation, because we are trying to raise proceeds to, continue to do the great work that God has placed before me. And my the website is www.secondchanceoutreachmen.com. Again, that's www.secondchanceoutreachmen.com.
Perfect.
So that's my website if you want to go on it.
Yep. And if anybody wants to make a donation, that's the way they can do it. So thank you so much for making yourself available. I just wish you the best of luck as you go out into the world and you spread this throughout the world, because it can be life-changing for people. It truly, truly can be. And, people who don't have a foundation, people that need to get a foundation, people that are stuck in the trials and tribulations that haven't gotten to that third stage, which is the stage that we should all aspire to. And so thank you so much.
Thank you again.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy M. as much as I did creating it. Each show is produced with you, the listener, in mind, as you look for inspiration and motivation from other brave souls as you pursue your desires. I'd love to hear your feedback, so please leave me a review on iTunes. I read every one. And check out my website, tracym.com, for more free resources. You can also join my list and sign up for my newsletter right from the homepage. Until next time, stay strong, believe in your dreams, and go do something brave.
We appreciate you joining us for this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy M. and hope that you enjoyed the show. For more information about today's episode, as well as additional free resources to help you achieve greatness in your life, visit tracym.com and sign up for our mailing list. Until next time, dream big, believe in yourself, and let your brilliance shine as only you can do.